Welcome back to Untold Stories, where we dive into the shadows of the unknown, unearthing tales that linger long after the night ends. If you're new here, or if you've been with us through the chills and thrills, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Hit that notification bell too, because the stories we tell, well, they have a way of following you. Have you ever felt like you're not alone, even when you know you are? Tonight, we bring you a story that starts like many others, a teenager, home alone, enjoying the freedom of an empty house. But for 17-year-old Emily Parker, what begins as a dream weekend quickly spirals into a nightmare she can't escape. It's a tale of creaking floors, shadowy figures, and a vengeful spirit with unfinished business. And just when you think it's over, it's only the beginning. From mysterious notes appearing out of nowhere to whispers that crawl under your skin, Emily's night alone becomes a terrifying game of survival. But here's the thing, this isn't just a story. It's a warning. Because sometimes, the things that go bump in the night aren't just in your head. So, settle in, lock your doors, and keep the lights on if you must. The full, bone-chilling details are coming your way, and once you hear them, you'll never look at an empty house the same way again. Stay with us, if you dare. The beginning of solitude. Emily Parker was 17, a junior in high school, and thrilled to finally have the house to herself. Her parents had left that Friday morning for a weekend getaway, trusting her to manage the old Victorian home they'd lived in since she was a toddler. The place was a relic, creaky wooden floors, drafty windows, and a sprawling layout that always seemed to hide shadows in its corners. During the day, it was charming, but as dusk settled over the sleepy neighborhood, the house took on a different character. At first, Emily reveled in her freedom. She blasted music through the living room speakers, danced around with a bag of chips in hand, and sprawled on the couch with a horror movie marathon queued up on the TV. The wind picked up outside, rattling the windows, and a storm brewed on the horizon, but she didn't mind. It felt cinematic, perfect for her spooky night in. As the clock ticked past 9 p.m., though, the mood shifted. The music seemed too loud, echoing unnaturally through the empty halls, so she turned it down. The wind howled louder, and the house groaned in response, its bones settling, or so she told herself. She muted the TV during a quiet scene in The Conjuring and froze. A distinct creak came from the hallway, slow and deliberate, like a foot pressing on the floorboards. "Just the house," she muttered, forcing a laugh. She'd heard that excuse a million times from her dad. Old houses made noises. Still, her skin prickled as she glanced toward the darkened hallway. The kitchen door, which she closed after grabbing a soda, stood slightly ajar. Frowning, she got up, crossed the room, and pushed it shut with a firm click. "Stay closed," she said aloud, as if the house might listen. Back on the couch, she resumed the movie, but 10 minutes later, her eyes darted to the hallway again. The door was open, wide open this time, revealing the black void of the kitchen beyond. Her stomach twisted. Had she forgotten to latch it properly? She stood, heart thumping, and closed it again, double-checking the handle. It felt solid. She returned to the couch, but the unease gnawed at her, a quiet whisper in her mind, "Something's wrong." Whispers in the static. Trying to shake it off, Emily flipped through the TV channels. The movie wasn't distracting her anymore, it was too predictable, and she needed noise to fill the silence. She landed on a random sitcom, but the screen flickered, then dissolved into static. A low hum buzzed from the speakers, and beneath it, faint voices murmured. She leaned closer, straining to hear. Emily. Emily, her name, soft and insistent, woven into the white noise. She jabbed the power button, plunging the room into silence. Her breath caught in her throat. "It's just interference," she reasoned, "from the storm." but when she checked her phone to text her best friend, Mia, the screen showed no signal. She tried the landline next, dead, not even a dial tone. The storm couldn't have knocked out everything, could it? A loud thump echoed from downstairs, sharp and heavy, like something falling in the basement. Emily's pulse raced. She grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen drawer and, after a moment's hesitation, picked up a chef's knife too. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. No answer, just the wind screaming outside. She crept toward the basement door, each step amplifying her dread. The beam of her flashlight danced across the walls, casting long, twisted shadows. The door was closed, but as she reached for the knob, a faint scratching sound came from the other side, nails dragging slowly across wood. She yanked her hand back, heart hammering against her ribs. "Nope, not tonight," she whispered, backing away. The note. Back in the living room, she locked the basement door and wedged a chair under the handle for good measure. She was about to call it a night when she noticed something on the coffee table, a folded piece of paper that hadn't been there before. Her hands shook as she picked it up and unfolded it. In jagged, uneven handwriting, it read, "You're not alone." A scream lodged in her throat. She dropped the note and spun around, expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows. The room was empty, but the air felt thick, oppressive. She ran to the front door, checked the lock, still secure. The windows were latched too. How had the note gotten inside? Panic clawed at her chest. She needed answers. Grabbing her laptop, she opened it on the couch, praying the Wi-Fi still worked. It did, barely. She typed "weird things happening home alone" into the search bar, scrolling past clickbait articles until she stumbled onto a forum thread titled "Haunted Houses in Her Town." One post caught her eye. There's an old Victorian on Maple Street where a woman named Eliza Winters lived in the 1890s. She was a recluse, accused of witchcraft by neighbors. They say she died alone, and her spirit lingers, tormenting anyone who stays in the house by themselves. It starts with noises, then escalates, doors opening, voices, objects moving. Some claim she leaves notes. If you're alone there, she'll make you play her game. Don't provoke her, or she'll never let you go. Emily's blood ran cold. Her house was on Maple Street. She'd never heard of Eliza Winters, but the details matched too perfectly, especially the note. She scrolled further, finding more accounts, flickering lights, footsteps, shadowy figures. One user wrote, "I found symbols in the attic." I think she was into dark magic. Left the next day and never went back. A chill swept through the room and the lights flickered. Emily slammed the laptop shut, her breath visible in the sudden cold. From upstairs, footsteps thudded, slow, deliberate, descending the staircase one creak at a time. The spirit awakens. She grabbed the flashlight and knife, backing toward the kitchen as the footsteps reached the bottom. A shadow stretched across the wall, a tall, thin figure with no clear edges. She blinked, and it was gone, but the air grew colder, heavier. Then, a voice whispered directly behind her, "Emily." She whirled around, slashing the knife through empty air. Nothing. Her flashlight flickered, then died. In the darkness, a figure materialized at the end of the hallway, a woman in a tattered Victorian dress, her skin pale and translucent, her eyes hollow sockets leaking black tears. Her lips moved, and the voice rasped again, "You have awakened me. Now, you must play my game to survive the night." Emily stumbled backward, crashing into the counter. "What game?" "Who are you?" she demanded, voice cracking. "I am Eliza," the spirit said, drifting closer. "I died here, alone, betrayed. You will help me find peace, or I will take your place." Her form wavered, then vanished, leaving behind a single command: begin. The first task, the locket. A thud from the basement shook the floor. Eliza's voice echoed, "Find my locket." Emily hesitated, but the lights flickered violently, and the chair blocking the basement door slid aside on its own. She had no choice. The basement stairs creaked under her weight, the air growing damp and rancid. Her flashlight sputtered back to life, illuminating cobwebs and stacks of moldy boxes. A skittering sound, like rats, made her jump, but she pressed on. Beneath a loose floorboard, she found a small, tarnished locket, its clasp engraved with an E. As she grabbed it, the ground erupted. Skeletal hands burst through the dirt, bony fingers wrapping around her ankles. She screamed, kicking wildly, and yanked herself free, the locket clutched in her fist. She scrambled upstairs, slamming the door behind her, but the hand's cold touch lingered on her skin. The second task, the truth. Eliza appeared again, her hollow eyes fixed on Emily. "The truth lies in my words," she said. "Find them." A diary materialized on the kitchen table, its leather cover cracked and stained. Emily opened it, flipping through pages of cramped handwriting. One entry was circled in red ink. They lied. "Margaret framed me. The proof is in the hearth. The fireplace." Emily raced to the living room, her fingers probing the bricks until one clicked. A hidden compartment opened, revealing a yellowed letter. It was a confession from Margaret Hayes, a neighbor, admitting she'd planted evidence of witchcraft to ruin Eliza out of jealousy over a man they both loved. Eliza had been shunned, left to die alone. The house trembled, and Eliza's wail filled the air. "They took everything," she hissed. "One task remains. The final task, the ritual. Eliza's final command: set me free." The diary's last page listed a ritual: place the locket, the letter, and a lit candle in a circle, then recite a chant. Emily gathered the items, her hands trembling as she struck a match. Shadows danced on the walls, growing longer, sharper, as if the house itself resisted. She arranged the objects and read aloud, "By truth revealed, by heart unbound, release this soul to sacred ground." The air thickened, the candle flame flaring blue. Eliza materialized fully, her form solidifying, pale skin, dark hair, a mournful expression. "Thank you," she whispered, reaching out as if to touch Emily's face. A gust of wind extinguished the candle, and Eliza vanished. The house fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting. Emily collapsed, exhaustion overtaking her. The morning after. She awoke on the couch, sunlight streaming through the windows. Her parents bustled in, laughing about their trip, oblivious to the chaos. "Bad dreams?" her mom asked when Emily tried to explain. She nodded, too drained to argue. But as she brushed her hair in the bathroom, something caught her eye. In the mirror, her reflection smiled, a slow, unnatural grin she didn't make. A faint whisper brushed her ear, "I'll always be with you." On the sink, the locket rested, its clasp undone.